Let's practice telling friends and family what you've learned about adult ADHD. If writing helps you to think, then pause the video to grab a pen and a piece of paper. Pretend your neighbor says, "I thought only kids have ADHD." What would you say? Possible answer. Actually, a lot of adults have ADHD, about 4.4% of adults in the US. Pretend a friend says, "I used to have ADHD as a kid, but I grew out of it." I think that's pretty much what happens to everyone. They get medication as a kid, then they get older, they figure out how to deal with it, and it isn't a problem anymore. What could you say? Possible answer. I'm glad that things are going so well for you. That would be awesome. For me, it actually takes more work to deal with my symptoms now as an adult than when I was a kid. As an adult, I have a lot more responsibilities and less time to do them in. I've heard that most people actually still have lingering symptoms of ADHD as adults. Pretend a family member says, "You can't suddenly have ADHD now. If you really had it, then you would have been diagnosed years ago." What could you say? Possible answer. Just because I didn't receive a formal evaluation and diagnosis doesn't mean the condition wasn't there. I had a lot of symptoms as a kid. I thought that things that were really hard for me were just normal struggles. After living with roommates and working with peers who didn't have the same difficulties I did, I realized that something might be wrong. Pretend a friend says, "I've met little kids with ADHD. They're bouncing off the walls. You don't act like that." What would you say? Possible answer. ADHD usually looks differently in adults than it does in kids. Adults learn to find more socially acceptable outlets for their symptoms. For example, I have a friend who used to get into trouble for climbing on everything as a kid. He now does rock climbing as a hobby.